IVD field, I would start there, and diagnostics, which I know is a big field for your clients. The old world of diagnostics has changed very little, and there seems to be the same focus on efficiency and producing the results, and so it's much more about, you know, producing the masses. But then there is definitely a big trend towards focusing on that innovation or information aspect of what diagnostics can do, and I think that's where a lot of the future is. However, the business model for that is totally unclear. So you have companies like Genomic Health or companies that have really focused only on content, but for the large players, I think they have yet to figure out what the business model for that is, and this is really interesting where that's going. So I don't have a good answer where that business model is going to be, but the fact that you had, in the past, you had platform companies who could launch platform businesses and develop all kinds of tests on these platforms, and now you have platform agnostic companies almost who have like 1 or 2 tests. It's very revolutionary for IVD. While they're pretty small, they get the interest and they actually get bought. So my prediction is that for the next few years is that the lab, the innovation will come from the labs, because that's an easier way to get these more innovative pieces of information to patients. That's definitely how it's going to happen, how it's going to get paid. There are a lot of obstacles, but I don't see, with the exception maybe of sequencing, which is a big question for DNA changes, I think that laboratories have the service laboratories have a great opportunity in IVD as a whole. It's complicated. They're not known for it. You know, hospital labs not known for it. Lab quests are not so much known for the innovation. But hey, change management, it could happen. But instrument manufacturers, they have a piece of it, but not. I don't see the next PCR platform really. I really don't see that. I think it's going to be much more fragmented on that end. So, with the exception of sequencing, I really don't know whether sequencing will have the impact on IVD. It could, but it's a big gamble. And biotech, definitely, you know, the smaller, more targeted drugs that used to be called orphan drugs or very specialized drugs are very attractive. Biotech's a little bit easier to forecast because you know the entire pipeline, you know, so it moves relatively slowly. You don't know which one, but it's definitely going towards smaller, more dedicated pharmaceuticals. And there's definitely going to be a lot of copies and different versions of these biotech drugs. What I've seen in India or in China, that there's some pretty good capabilities, and these drugs will be made available. The fact that, you know, the state-of-the-art cancer treatment is only available in certain countries is just unacceptable. They will be fully available at, you know, prices that are affordable also for less affluent countries in those. I mean, this is just going to happen. So I think the pharma companies will have to maybe deal with larger markets but lower prices. That's definitely happening. And there's going to be a big fight about that. And then there's all the question of, can we invest in innovation? I think there's also going to be a big research-based pharma company out of Asia that will be very impactful. We haven't seen it yet, but pretty sure that will happen. And on the life science tool side, now that's the most confusing area because there's so much in development and research, and so many of these fields are very esoteric, so you can't really place them whether they'll ever work. But there are, fundamentally, the trend, miniaturization and enabling ultra-sensitive technologies is a very big trend. It's definitely happening. So you see it with sequencing, you see it in protein diagnostics, you see it in many different fields. And because things are getting so small and so sensitive, you need to automate. So a lab that uses, you know, ELISA plate reader or does a lot of pipetting, it will migrate more and more towards much more sophisticated instrumentation. Still open, but in a very much more automated way. That's a big trend. So the labs that we see today in research labs, I think they will change quite a bit. with instrumentation and automation. And that's why if you are a reagent company, you should be in instrumentation. I think so. And if you're an instrument company, you should be in reagents. I really think that's important, which this is a big paradigm shift for instrument companies. Because again, you have to then combine so many different competencies. Well, we're good at antibodies and labels and markers and putting kits together, but we don't know instrument. I think you need to be a life science tool company, you have to do both. Definitely both. And you see it in sequencing, definitely. It's the technology. But you'll see more of these technologies coming to play. And in fact, applied to biomarker research, where you see a lot of interesting stuff coming out today, those may actually be very interesting businesses when you can marry those ultra-sensitive technologies with biomarker research, and all of a sudden you see stuff you could never see before, beyond sequencing now. You know, diseases like neurology or so, diseases that are not diagnosable. You can't diagnose this disease because you don't know what you're looking for. Well, you'll find that. You'll find markers for, I don't know, schizophrenia. It's a very, very good field, I would say.